Well, hello everybody. Welcome to our last Rockstar retreat session together. And today we're gonna talk about the agenda. I'll share with you what my preference is on the agenda. We'll talk about how to create that special feeling of a community and connection. I'm going to share with you my favorite exercises. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the inner state or your psychology when it comes to envisioning, organizing, and leading retreats. And then I'll open it up for your Q&A. Any questions you guys have, I'm happy to answer them. So before we start, let's just put aside everything if possible, and let's take a moment to recalibrate and ground down. I know a lot of you are super busy. If you can, just sit up straight and close your eyes and take a deep breath in and a big breath out. Let's do that again because it feels oh so good. Big breath in and a big breath out. And as you breathe deeply into your heart, I invite you to connect to mm, that special something, that spark, that idea, that flame, that God, universe, the superconscious mind, whatever you want to call it, put into your heart. Like Margaret shared with us on the first night, I had that guidance, that idea, that inspiration from the divine to do this work. Something called you to be here and now. Something is calling you up to your greatness. Something is calling you up to lead retreats. So, right now, take a deep breath and connect to that something. And with your breath, stoking that fire, making it bigger, brighter, warmer. And breathe deeply, feel good. Enjoy this fire, luxuriate in this fire. Allow yourself to feel the pleasure, the juice, the excitement, the passion of this fire. And internally, you can say, thank you. I love you. Thank you. And open your eyes. All right, so let's start with the agenda. What I'd like to say about agenda, you're talking to someone who has been a very, should I say, control freak. I used to create agendas that were literally scheduled by the minute. Every single minute of the retreat or training was fully filled. And now, I leave a lot of rooms for spontaneity, for fun, for my intuitive guidance. And my husband, who's been leading this work with me for years now, a lot of times he looks at me, he's like, who are you? Who are you right now? So just, give yourself some grace. There is, you will change as you lead this retreats. And what I do is I leave a lot of space for fun, spontaneity. I leave a lot of space for fun, for free time, because in those moments of free time, when you create kind of like a container for people to connect with each other, then you don't have to lead as much, and B, you're creating a container for people to connect with each other. And so much magic happens when they get to connect with each other, you know? So let me just share with you my sample agenda, and I'll tell you my reasoning, my thinking behind the agenda when I create the agenda. So on the arrival day, keep in mind that different people will arrive at different times. Some people will arrive in the morning, some people will arrive late at night, some people will arrive at different times. So I usually start with an afternoon yoga. So it's usually, if I do a retreat at our Blue Sky Retreat Center, it's a 5 o'clock yoga class. And I make it easy. It's very gentle class, 5 to 6. It's a 1 hour class. I usually focus on the hips because people have been traveling all day, right? And then at 6:30, we have dinner. And after dinner, I always start with an opening circle. And on the first night, I keep it very short and sweet because, again, people have been traveling and they're often very, very tired. Plus, we're high up in the mountains. So you want to give people some time to acclimate. If you lead international retreats, remember people jet lagged, they're very tired from traveling. But the opening circle, it's another opportunity to create magic. This is when I invite people to set an intention for their experience so they're not just showing up. Create an experience, and I usually guide them. I say intention plus action equals transformation. We are in this beautiful place. Taos is called the land of enchantment for a reason. I truly believe God lives here. And I give them a little bit of guidance and I invite them to set an intention, and I usually give them time to journal, and then we have an opening circle. Now, this particular setting ritual works for retreats about 15 people and under. So smaller retreats, because remember, if there are too many people, the opening circle can last for hours. I've led teacher trainings 40 people and 45, 50 people, and the opening circle can last 4 hours. You don't want that. So 15 people or less, everybody sits in a circle and everybody gets a chance to talk. My intention is to open up to receive divine guidance. My intention to nourish myself, rest, so I can be the best person that I can be for myself and others in my life, something like that. And I usually open up the talking circle or the opening circle with my own intention so that you give people an example how it sounds like, how it looks like. If a group is really big, then you can break them up into the groups of say 5, and then they can have their own mini opening circles, talking circles. And then I lead this other exercise. And again, as they're sitting in little circles, I walk around and I listen in and I offer my coaching if they want it. Okay. And then there is this other exercise that I'm going to upload on the website, and it's called sentence stem completion exercise. I've been using it for years. I'm going to share it with you. I'm not the one who created it. So the document that I'll share with you has a little bit of a history behind it, who created it. It's a very powerful exercise. It usually is in groups of 5 people or so. And it works like this. You set a timer for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then you start the stem. So right now, for example, right now I feel. Right now I feel excited. Then Nadia goes, right now I feel exhilarated. And then Laura will say, right now I feel overwhelmed. And then Margaret will say, well, right now I feel a little bit tired. And then people go sometimes several times around the circle, and then the timer goes off, then you give the next question, and gradually the questions get more vulnerable, right? And it's slowly you're kind of guiding them. And in that exercise, I really recommend using it as your opening exercise, because in a matter of 15 minutes you create instant community and connection, and people love each other because they get a chance to open up vulnerably, and they also get to see themselves in each other. So I'm going to share it with you. Please, if you want to use it, use it. If you have your own ritual on the opening night, you of course use your own stuff. On day 2, I usually do morning yoga. Again, all of my retreats, even if it's other retreats, right? I always incorporate yoga into them. So I usually start with a morning yoga. It's usually 1 hour. Then I do breakfast, and then I give them plenty of free time until the afternoon. So in the afternoon, it would be usually like optional coaching, I don't know, vision and goals, and it'll be 3 to 5. And then there'll be another yoga class. Sometimes it's 1 hour, sometimes it's 90 minutes. Then it will be dinner. And then after dinner, again, community and connection. I call it connection time. In Taos, we do a fire ceremony, we do chanting, we do talks around the fire, we do s'mores, we do stargazing. It's really, really magical. So, and then extra events. Usually, whenever you schedule extra events, everything else will fall according to those extra events. So, extra events are like your big rocks, right? So, let's say, for example, in Taos, we do. If we decide to take people on hot air balloon rides, or white water rafting, and those require really early morning departure. I think for hot air balloons, it's like we have to leave at 5:30 in the morning or something like that. For water rafting, we have to leave at 7:30 or something like that. So you would schedule that, and then you put everything else, in the spaces in between. If we do, like, let's say the Native American sweat lodge ceremony, it usually takes all afternoon and evening, and people are usually completely exhausted and drained after that. So they usually just have some tea and go to sleep. So again, don't shove so many things into your agenda that people just like, like every minute of their day is planned. Leave them some space for magic, give them some space for grace. I usually give them at least 3 hours of free time. I feel like I forgot to mention something. Oh, yes. And usually all of the activities that I offer, they are optional. Usually most people do it. Everybody does that. But once in a while, somebody decides to opt out. So in Taos, we do things like hiking. We do hiking with the llamas. We do hot springs and spa trips, skiing when we lead ski retreats. People go skiing all day long. When we do ski retreats, there is no yoga in the morning. People eat breakfast, they go all day skiing. Then when they come back, we do yoga, we do dinner, and then we do connection time after dinner. And again, if you are a big skier, you know that in the end of the day, you're so totally pooped out. So you kind of plan. The reason why I like to leave room for grace, so to speak, is because I always lead with my inner hearing, with my intuition, addressing what is right in front of me. Now, this was not the case with the younger Albina. The younger me used to push my agenda, but I have this magical exercise for you. You have to do it. You must. I don't care if you're tired, you must. Madison here, she just shared with you that I took a group of 35 people up the mountain on the full moon hike, and it nearly killed people. But that was, looking back, I was like, dang, that was hardcore, just shove that hike down people's throat. People were not ready for that. If I think it's magical, if I think it's beautiful, if I think it's out of this world divine, doesn't mean that other people will. Do you know what I mean? So again, leave space for grace, leave space for spontaneity, and always address what's right there in front of you. And be willing to change your agenda right there. And usually I come to a retreat, again, like I said, I do not share my agenda with anybody. I just give them kind of big rocks. And the day off, I literally put up a white eraser board and I put the agenda for the day. I do not disclose it in advance, because if I decide to change things, I want to have the flexibility to change them. And if there are usually some people like, what's the agenda? And I always say, well, expect a miracle, my friend. Expect a miracle. And I make a joke about it. And I just say, just trust the process. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. And that's it. So community and connection. I'm going to talk about these things and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A. Okay, guys? So if you have questions right now, write them down and we'll come back to the questions part. Let me start. When we talk about community and connection, again, I think it's your thing, your retreat. You do what you want to do. And I'll tell you what not to do, in my opinion. And again, like my 13-year-old rolls her eyes and says, it's just an opinion, Mom. So again, it's just an opinion. It's my opinion. You can change it any way you want. It's your retreat. You get to do whatever you want. It's like when I ran 7 yoga studios, people would come to me and they'll tell me how to run my yoga studios, and I would always listen and be like, thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you. But inside I'm thinking, when you get your own dang yoga studio, you get to do whatever you want. But I never said that out loud. I just thought that. So here's what I think not to do. One time I went to a retreat with my favorite yoga teacher. I just absolutely loved this person. And I thought, well, I get to go on the retreat. It's going to be amazing. And it's in this beautiful place. And then I show up for the retreat, and there were two leaders. And literally, they would teach the yoga class in the morning and the afternoon. And then they'd go to their room and never come out. And we kind of hung out with other retreatants. That was weird. Like, yes, yoga is amazing and life-changing, and a retreat is called a retreat for a reason, right? In my opinion, you treat your retreatants as your beloved customers, not like your lovers, but as your beloved customers, because these are the people who will become your super fans, right? You love on them, you feel them welcome, you entertain them, you make them feel comfortable, you do whatever it takes. It's like they are your guests, and maybe it is extremely so for me, because they literally do come to my house in Taos, and I always act like this. Even when I host retreats in other places around the world, I treat every single person as my most valuable and treasured guest. And I always do my best to make sure that everybody is involved, everybody gets attention, everybody gets love, because naturally you will want to gravitate towards people that you already know, right? That have been with you. And it is important to bring in the people who are maybe newer, people who don't know anybody. So like a gracious host, right? Imagine that you're hosting a big party at your house, and you want everybody to feel loved and welcome. Um, so yeah, that retreat was weird. And and it was so bad that I was like, dang it, should I just leave? Like, I even considered leaving. Like, I can get yoga anytime. I don't have to be here away from my 7 businesses at the time. I don't have to be away from my family to just like sit around and like awkwardly stare at the ceiling. It was interesting. But anyway, so remember, if I do say so myself, I do believe that people keep coming back to my retreats year after year, because I literally make everybody feel welcome. And our retreat center, it ain't no Ritz-Carlton. It's a lodge. It's a historic building. It's not rustic, but it's not Ritz either. So I know that people are not coming for the fancy, 4-season accommodations. They come because they want to be in my presence. They come because they want to feel a certain way. In the end of the day, do you remember what kind of soap was in that fancy hotel? No, you remember who you were with, right? The experiences that you had. And of course, it's very nice to have a retreat at a beautiful place. And usually retreat centers are in beautiful places. And I truly believe that the main part of the retreat is how you make your retreatants, your guests, feel like. That is usually my biggest focus. I have my exercises ready to go. I have a rough agenda, like I would write it down, but I'm not married to it. So I'm always flexible. I'm always willing to pivot right there on the spot. So exercises like sentence stem completion exercise that I'll share with you. Um, and also, if I lead any sort of exercise, be it, vision and goals exercising, manifest magic coaching, relationship stuff, anything that I share with them, I always give them a chance to share with each other. Write this down. always give them a chance to share with each other and then a bigger circle. The reason why you do that is when they share with each other, every single person gets a chance to speak. Every single person gets a chance to speak. And besides, when they connect with each other in smaller groups, that's when they get to connect with each other on a human level, right? This is how friendships are born in our retreats and trainings. And, as a result, people who come to our trainings, our retreats, they become best friends. They go to each other's weddings, they travel around the world with each other, they become their kids' godmothers, godfathers, and things like that. So always, whatever you lead, whatever exercise you lead, remember, write it down because you will forget. Give them a chance to share with each other. And then I usually open it up to the big circle and I say, does anybody want to share in the big circle? And the reason we do that is because I use those moments, those people, as an opportunity to coach a person individually. And I always say, do you recognize yourself in this person? Now, it is important for you, and I know this course is not about coaching, but since we are talking about leading the retreats right now, you need to connect it for people, right? Otherwise, they may not necessarily see it as clearly as be like, I don't care about this person's problems, whatever. I mean, most people don't, but there would be like odd ones who will. And then you can say, well, do you see yourself in this person? Or you can jokingly say, well, this coaching is only for this person. It's not for anybody else. And you kind of can make a joke about that. But it's also, people usually find a lot of value in that, even though it's one-on-one coaching, but it kind of becomes a group coaching experience as well. And again, that also creates an opportunity for people to connect. So all these moments, these are opportunities for you to create community and connections, because it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. You, as a retreat leader, it is your job and your responsibility to create a container for the magic to happen. Now, you're not in control of the magic, right? But you can create the container, the framework for the magic to take place. So like I said, I usually, every single retreat of mine has some sort of manifest magic because I'm deeply passionate about it. Relationship gems, again, whatever your jam is, I would recommend that you bring your best offerings to the table. And again, if you lead retreats year after year, I lead about 3-4 retreats every year. I make sure that I bring new stuff. This is why it is important to write it down. I have notebooks like this, stacks and stacks of notebooks, because I forget. What did I lead in that retreat? I don't remember. But the good news is, like, I'm always growing, I'm always evolving. I usually share my latest and the greatest stuff. So, some of the stuff repeats, but usually it's always fresh content that I share. And lastly, I want to emphasize that even though I prepare, I always lean on my intuition, inner hearing, inner guidance. I always, no matter what I do, and especially whenever I lead retreats, I always ask for divine guidance. So every day I'll pray, God, thank you for working your miracle. Thank you for working your magic through me. Help me serve these people. Help me, do whatever I can to make sure that these people are having an outstanding time, a really great time. Now, you're not responsible for them to have a great time. Only they are responsible. But I can do whatever I can with an intention to facilitate a fun time. Do you know what I mean? Because it's possible that some people are not going to have a good time, and there is also art in not letting you let this person poop on your parade. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so easy. Like there can be one person, like Cheryl shared the other day, one girl who was really upset and she kind of pooped on everybody's parade. So there is also something to be said. It's an art of not letting the one person kind of affect the experience of the entire group. Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to share with you today is your inner state. Your inner state is so important, you guys. I cannot emphasize it enough. Literally, your inner state, your psychology is the king or the queen. So your psychology or your inner state is responsible for 80% of your success or failure in anything that you do. It's not just leading retreats, it's literally your relationship, your business, your work, your health. Your inner state is literally that big. So even if you have all the resources in the world, if your inner state is not in the right place, I mean, chances are, you're not going to have a really great experience with everything. So to me, my working on my inner state is like my inner hygiene, like brushing your teeth in the morning. I, focus on my inner state. This is something that I work on daily, and I'm happy to share with you some of my rituals that I do. So what affects your inner state first and foremost is your physical bodies, your physiology. So if you're sad, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, nobody gonna sign up for my retreat, or I suck, nobody loves me, that energy has a certain, body language. Do you know what I mean? When you're feeling that, your chest sinks, right? Your shoulders roll forward, your head goes down, and we're not always aware of that physiology. But if you're catch yourself in those moments, your body is probably like curling in. So what do? The first thing you do, you radically change your physiology. So physical exercise, physical movement is an absolute must for me every single day. So I go running, I do yoga, I do dancing, I do beach body, whatever it takes to just like get myself into my peak state. uh, Up to 4 days ago, I've been doing cold plunges. But as of 4 days ago, Nadia give me high fives. Nadia and I upgraded to ice baths. So I've been doing ice baths in the morning. Yes, Whitney too. Yes, so I inspired some people on Instagram to do it. And when you do an ice bath, you just feel awake, exhilarated, alive, full of vitality instantaneously. I mean, I don't feel like I never want to do an ice bath, but I do it anyway because I know how I'm going to feel afterwards. I do my meditation, I do my breath work, I do my incantations. And incantations are like affirmations on steroids. This is something that you say with passion over and over again. You incant, meaning you say a magic spell, you program your brain, you program your subconscious mind every day and in every way. I am young, strong, healthy, sexy, creative, resilient, resourceful, unstoppable, unbreakable, unshakable, divinely guided, infinitely loved, and abundantly great, blessed. Yes, 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 yes. I say it over and over and over and over again. My new one is, where does it go? I, Albina Orazgaliva Ripi, see, hear, feel, and know that the purpose of my life is to serve others by being love and light, abundance and ease, joy and grace. And I say it over and over and over again. And when I see that, I feel a massive shift. You do that for 30 minutes, you're going to be like, yeah, I can do anything. It's just, you become in love with your life. And we all should be in love with our lives, because what a gift, what a blessing. But whenever we feel like, oh, I suck, nobody loves me, nobody's signing up for my retreat, oh my gosh, then it's like we're not fully appreciating loving our life. To me, it's like taking what God gave us, what God gave me, and kind of just like flushing it down the toilet. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so this is what I do. And to kind of summarize it, with when it comes to retreats, when it comes to actually anything that I do, I always start with a vision. I envision, right? I literally meditate. I create it in my mind first. And like I said on our first night, it's a process of co-creation. I kind of know what I want, but I also leave space for grace, so to speak, for God to step up, the divine, the universe to step up and guide me how even a better way to lead a retreat or envision a retreat or whatever it is that I'm creating, then I always set a goal. Now, without goal setting, and I always set kind of a high goal, a goal that scares me a lot, and a goal that will be like, Albina, it's impossible. I always set goals like that. Not to say that I reach those goals every single time, but I'd say about 80% of the time I reach those goals. And every time I reach those goals, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, God, because I know I didn't do it on my own. I know that the universe always meets me halfway. We do it together. So always set a goal. And I invite you to set a goal that scares you a little bit or a lot. Then, of course, I take massive action. Everything that I taught you in this course is about that massive action, right? You don't just envision and kind of be like, oh, okay, I hope people sign up. Ain't nobody going to sign up. You have to hustle. This is what's called inspired action. Yes, you envision. Yes, you pray about it. Yes, you set a goal and then you hustle your butt off. And then I surrender. Now, this is a very important part. A lot of times people forget to surrender. I always surrender, even though I really want this goal. I set this goal that it scares me. It's so big that it scares the heck out of me. Even though like I invite God in, even though I hustle my butt off, it is important to surrender. Because when you surrender to me, it's a process of saying, okay, the universe, I am doing everything that I know how. And I can say with 100% honesty, literally everything I know how. So that in that moment, I can say with 100% honesty, I did everything I know how. And then it is now your job. It's your turn. You step up and do it. You put that idea into my heart. You send me that inspired action. I did everything that I knew how. Now it's your turn. This is like how at 4 o'clock in the morning when I meditate and pray, this is what's kind of going on behind the scenes, so to speak. So I surrender. And whenever I don't meet the goals or whatever, it happens sometimes. I say, okay, well, this was something better, right? This or something better. If this didn't happen, then I know something better is coming. Well, if this didn't happen, then what is my learning from that experience? Because every single thing that happens to us, if we look at it as an opportunity for us to learn, then it's always a blessing. It is always a learning. The divine is always guiding you, right? Even through the challenges, even through what other people call failures. I don't believe in failures. I only believe in learnings. I'm always growing. I'm always learning. I'm always evolving. And then the last thing, so I already mentioned like prayer. I mean, I do like today. I pray about dumb stuff. Like I have a volunteer coming to work at Blue Sky, and I got down on my knees and I prayed. It was like, okay, God, I really want an exceptional team working at Blue Sky. I want people who love being here, who contribute, who have high work integrity, who are like bring lots of value to me and to my what I'm creating. So I need you to bless me with a person like that. So I always prayer is something that I do multiple times a day. And then the last thing that I do is journaling. Like I mean, if you come to my house, there are journals like this, like thousands. They're everywhere. They're in my purses. They're by my bed. They're under my bed. They're on my shelf because I always journal. And this year I'm being pretty good. I'm journaling only in one notebook. We'll see how it goes. It's already February 1st. But I journal. So let's say, for example, um, you've heard that expression, it gets like it's the darkest moment right before sunrise, right? So it's a universal law, actually. um, um, Michael Beckwith has this expression. He calls it the dark night of the soul. I love it. So whenever we are about to quantum leap to the new way of being, whatever that is, it's like quantum leaping to, let's say, leading a retreat, something new, or quantum leap as in like making your retreats bigger, or a quantum leap bringing your retreats to other scary places that are outside of your local place. Do you know what I mean? Or like quantum leap in terms of making money, creating something new. Whenever we're about to quantum leap, what happens, I mean, some people call it ego tries to hold you back. Some people call it the devil trying to hold you back, whatever you want to call it. But there is this thing that happens internally. Some people call it the fear, but I think you all know what it feels like, right? Give me some jazz hands if you know. It's like something kicks in, and then you go into this. I go into this like, oh, but who are you to dream like this? Oh, nobody's gonna sign up. Nobody loves you. Somebody does it so much better than you. Why anybody would come to your dumb retreat when there is like, I don't know, Sean Corn is leading retreat in the same place, just a month earlier. So I just come up with dumb things like that. And I just want to take myself out before I even try. So then I sit down and I journal and I write down my limiting belief, whatever that is. And then I write like 15 reasons why it's not true. So I think I shared with you already, on November, I rolled out a really big Black Friday sale. Now, I haven't done a big Black Friday sale since my days at Yoga One. That Black Friday sale was pretty big. We generated $1 million in 1 month. So that was pretty awesome. But since then, I haven't done any Black Friday sales. So this in 2020 was my first one. And I set a goal for $25,000. Now, when you made $1 million in sale in 1 month, $25,000 seems like such a small goal, but it is huge to me because it is my new offerings, right? It's my coaching offerings, it's my trainings. So to me, it was like such a huge goal. And literally every fiber of my being said, no, you cannot hit that target. It's too high. I mean, I came up, my brain, my ego came up with every single excuse in the book. So much so that I was like in the paralysis. I didn't even want to go forward with it. I didn't want to create a sales page. I didn't want to start the promotion for it. I was in fear. And then I sat down. Well, if you follow me on Instagram, you can see that story about the turtles. I literally asked God for a sign, and He gave me a sign in forms of a turtle. When I went running, I'll tell you really quickly. So I go through this crazy, like, oh, nobody's gonna sign up. Who are you? Blah 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 blah. So I go running, and I'm thinking about asking God for an omen, a sign, like God show me a sign. And then instantaneously I'm like, oh, Albina, you're so dumb. Why would you want to like bother God with such dumb stuff like that? So I was like, okay, God, never mind. I'm not gonna bother you with really dumb stuff like that. And I just start running. And the universe always works in such miraculous, mysterious ways. I start running, and we run around the lake here in Austin, and then I see this little turtle in the water. So, and she like grabs my attention, and I start watching her, and she's swimming really slowly in the water. And it hit me. It hit me because I'm thinking, I always, all my whole life, I want to be so fast. I want like that $1 million sale right away, like right now. I want that huge, big, hairy, audacious goal. I want to hit that goal right now. And then it's like as if God is telling me, remember that story about the hare and the turtle, right? Slow and steady, Albina, slow and steady, slow and steady. And then I was like, okay, God, I get it. I get it. I get it. I think it's a sign. I get it. Thank you. And then I literally turn, because we run around, and I look in the water, and there is like 30 more turtles there. And I run there like every day. I've never seen so many turtles in my life in there. And I'm like, okay, it's as if God is telling me, in case you didn't get my sign, in case you didn't get an omen, here is 30 more turtles. So that thing happened, and I come home like, okay, like I feel you, God. Like I feel like I understand what you're saying. So I start journaling, and I write down every single limiting belief. that I have. And then next to it, I write down 10 reasons, 15 reasons, as many reasons as I can think why it is not true. And usually to me, it's a process of surrender. If this idea came to me, the meaning that I make out of it is that it came from the divine, it came from the universe, it came from God. So if it did, then it is my duty to do whatever I can right now to make it happen. And in that process of surrender, the leverage for me, right, the tipping point for me is when I surrender it to something bigger than me, whether it is an act of service to others or whether it is a surrender to the divine. And yes, I hit that $25,000 goal and more. And then I told you last week how I enrolled 11 more people like that last week before the training started. So it's been like really amazing process. And once it happens once, when it happens once, my friends, then you can go back and see, like, oh, remember that time when that miracle happened? So to me, I always write them down. This is why I journal. I write down those miracles all the time because A Course in Miracles says miracles are supposed to be an everyday occurrence, and miracles happen in our lives all the time. The problem is you and I don't recognize the miracles because we're so jaded, because we're always like, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, nobody loves me, oh, nobody's going to sign up for my retreat. So once you go into the process of journaling and writing down the miracles that happen to you every day, the more you recognize and acknowledge grace, the more grace will show up in your lives, you guys. The more you acknowledge grace, the more grace shows up in your life. The more you acknowledge and recognize miracles, the more miracles show up in your life. Can somebody please say amen? Give me some jazz hands. Yay! Okay, this is all I have for you, my friends. I'm going to open it up for Q&A. Any questions, any comments you have?
I have a question, Albina.
Yes, speak a
A
little
couple
bit
of
louder.
questions. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
A couple of questions. At first, when you do circle and you separate people to different groups, and mm, so when we do the common circle, when I can hear all of the participants, when every single person can hear of them, so everybody knows each other. Everybody, sometimes it appears some miracle in the speech of other people, and it's only my opinion. And I I understood. I thought about, what if I don't need to know everybody's problem and they come to my retreat to retreat themselves as well. So
Yes.
to take my resources, and maybe sometimes they don't need my presence in their retreatment,
Yes.
because I want to know what every single person wants when she comes to the
Yeah.
retreat. What is her problem? How can I help her? It's kind of, I want to be related to every single person. Maybe it isn't needed.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Nadia, do you feel really tired after a retreat?
Yes, a lot. And we do,
You
as
feel
you
like
told,
your
what
heart
you
can
did.
die?
Oh, yes, we have a lot of ideas, a lot of exercises, and our retreat looks and feels like training.
Yeah. So this is why. Because you think it is your responsibility to help everybody with their problems, and it is not. It is not your responsibility to fix their problems. Ultimately it's their responsibility, it's everybody's their own responsibility to correct their problems or whatever, come with a resolution or retreat themselves or nourish themselves. Now I the reason why I ask you if you feel tired and exhausted, because I used to be that way. I think I told you guys, every time I would lead a training I would get violently sick. I would literally, it's like if the training ends at 5, at 5 minutes after 5, where's Albina? Hugging the toilet, vomiting, and tired, and then I'm out for 3 days. And then I started seeing the pattern. I'm like, the only time I get this tired, sick, 5 minutes literally after the training. So what is going on there? So the reason is because you are depleting your own energy. You're giving away your energy, and it is not your responsibility. Let me offer you a different way to look at it. God is working his miracles through me and as me. Remember how we talked about different stages of spiritual development, different stages of spiritual growth? You may not have covered, you may not have seen that um, module in the teacher training, but the first stage is the victim stage. You know, poor me, all these terrible things happened to me, the economy, COVID sucks, you know, I lost my job, blah, 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 blah. So, victim stage. Then a manifester stage. In a manifester, I don't remember exactly how it goes actually. I may be messing it up. I don't have my notes in front of me. But then you recognize it's actually when in the manifester stage, you recognize that it's actually up to me. I get to create my own destiny. I am in charge. I am creating my own reality at all times. So manifester stage, and usually in that manifester stage, you you start stabilizing all the areas of your life. Then a stage in your life when you become a vessel for God, you become a vessel for the divine, right? So you channel the divine to come through you. And then the final stage of spiritual growth is when you become as me. So to me, first stage is to me. The second stage, manifestor stage, is by me. I am in charge. The third stage of spiritual development is through me. You let the divine kind of come through you. And then the final stage of spiritual development, it's only four, not five. It's as me, as me. So you recognize, and this is what yoga talks about, right? Is that union, becoming you one with the divine. So, so right now, Nadia, when you want to help people, and I understand it comes from your heart, right? You want to serve from your heart. You want to help these women who come to your retreats, right? I understand that desire is pure, but what you're doing right now is you think it's by you. You're in the manifestor stage. It's by you. You think you have to make it happen. And to a large degree, you do, because divine is always working through us. But what I'm saying is effortless ease comes from when you let the divine work, the universe work as you, through you, and as you. Am I making sense right now? Do you understand what I'm saying? So you open up and you say, okay, God, work your miracles, work your magic through me and as me. So I envision it as the light comes through me. This is why I say I always lead with my intuition. I don't really have an agenda. I mean, I do, but it's a very loose agenda. Then you don't feel so much pressure that you have to perform, right? The pressure is off your shoulders. But then also what happens is you trust and surrender that whatever needs to come to your attention will come. And you can work with one person, but that person will hold the key for the entire group. So working with one person will create breakthroughs for the entire group. Are you following me? That way you
Yes.
don't have to work with individual people. You can only work with one in front of everybody. And that one creates breakthrough, ripple, 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 ripple for every single attendant in your event. Does that help, Nadia? Did I answer your question?
Yes, and what might be your advice for us? Because, we are a team, and mm, all of us wants to share something from herself. And also, we got an experience when we invited um, florist,
Yes.
like
Forest?
florist, and the next time we invited neurographic master,
Yeah.
and all of these pieces works perfect. Our ladies love it, and so how so we are three, and also we invite some masters to our retreat,
Yes.
and that's why what might be your advice for us to divide this our actions?
It's a very great question, Nadia. And since my husband and I have been working together side by side for 12 years, it took some time for us to find that place where we can work together without talking over each other. I mean, when we first started working with each other, we'd be like, I used to say, like, I disagree, and he would be like, what, you just said you disagree with me in front of like 60 people. Like, it made me feel like shit, like I'm a man, and you talk to me like this in front of people. And I was like, well, I don't agree, so what do you want me to say? It used to be like that for years until we found this. I mean, you've seen us work together. I hope it's more graceful now, but it didn't just happen. So give yourself some grace, that there is some natural kind of like finding the way that you three work together. That's one way. Another way is to literally set time on the agenda. Okay, you're going to be presenting at this time, I'll be presenting at this, like it's very defined on the agenda. Do you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be a big chunk of time, it can be 30 minutes. And then also, when you do group coaching, um, there is something to be said about the way you talk, the way you communicate. So instead of saying like I disagree, or contradicting each other in front of people, I mean, I don't know if you do it, but you can say like yes, and, or I always say now, not always, but if I'm on top of my game, I say like, Roger, may I add something? And he usually, when I ask it like that, he usually says, yes, of course. Or he say, may I finish my thought first? And then you're welcome to add. That way it gives us some grace with each other. Because sometimes I'm like, I need to say something. I need to say something. And then I'm like, may I add something? He's like, well, let me just finish my thought. And then is that okay? And then we're kind of working like that. Does that help? Is that what you're asking, Nadia?
Not at all. I we can do it gentle, and the one of great things that we got when we read our feedbacks, it's, oh ladies, how you can do it so gentle, so
Yeah.
uh,
Artful.
your work, yes, your work was amazing. I worry, I'm worried about, mm, we had a lot of stuff, and we invite other people, so we have a lot of stuff to get, so we want to, I think we overwhelmed them. The
Yeah.
one thing I thought, maybe it was maybe not mistake, but an idea how to change, to shift it, maybe to give more before the retreat and after the retreat, and to do it like a business, but no, because we do not anything around our training. We collect all things we know, all our best ideas, and give it right in our retreat, and we don't have any energy to do anything before and to do anything after it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's up to you. You can totally fill up every single minute of it. Then my question is it truly a retreat, or is it more like a seminar style?
Yes.
So to me, a retreat is an opportunity for me to grow and evolve, but also like kind of like relax and do nothing. But it's my idea. My idea of a perfect vacation is just vegging out, laying like by the pool or something, or even in my room and not doing anything, which is not my retreats. But it's like a big part of it is like I kind of want the downtime for me, mainly to recoup. But if you have
Mhm.
four people leading, then you can take turns and the other person can take a break. But what I mainly hear is that I see your question, your hand, Margaret. What I mainly hear is that if you are in the end feeling depleted, then is it possible that it is a little bit too much? And how can you feel in such a way that you too leave your retreat feeling exhilarated and nourished rather than depleted and tired? And that is a bigger question to ask yourself. And it's not even in the agenda so much as it is in a bigger energetic intent around the work that you lead. Margaret, do you want to add something?
I was just going to offer another thought in listening to Nadia's question, which is, we know what we have available, and it sounds like whatever Nadia is doing, she has a lot to offer, but maybe it's even more valuable not to offer so much. Maybe it's more valuable to offer a piece. And then you have another retreat where you offer a different piece, even though we want to offer everything, all our gifts all at once. Maybe they're better separated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's thank you for that, Margaret. And then that also
Thank you.
leaves them craving for more. You know, you can be like, well, next time on our next retreat, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. And if you sign up right now, you get $100 off. Since last time you asked, how can I sell the next thing? So if you know, Tony Robbins always does it brilliantly, right? He says, this is what we do in the next thing. Leadership Academy is all about this amazing stuff. Sign up right now and you get this exclusive price right now, more to come next time. And what? Everybody signs up because they're in a peak state, they want it, then it's an irresistible offer. This is how you do it. And maybe one of the things, because since you asked last time, what can be my next? What's next? Maybe you line up your retreats 12 months in advance. So if you guys are doing something small and locally like that, maybe you have a theme for every retreat to come, make it a monthly type of thing, and you can sign up for all 12 and you get a massive discount, or you pay more but you sign up one at a time. And then also when you think about your pricing, also factor in a discount, right? For those of you who are not yearly signed up for our yearly gatherings, right? If you sign up right now, you get this massive discount for the next one. Does that help? Yeah, I mean, the pricing is an art to it, but all the math needs to make sense, right? The yearly thing needs to be the best deal. It needs to be the cheapest one. Then, signing up on the spot is the second best option. And then randomly sign up for the retreats needs to be the most expensive option. I know a little bit about Nadia, and Nadia does this periodic, is this monthly gatherings that you do with the ladies? Yeah, monthly gathering. So maybe your pricing can be something around that. And I would also increase your pricing because I heard how much you charge, and that's kind of low. Not that you're
You
asking for my opinion.
you mean retreats?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we can take it offline if you want,
Okay,
but maybe there is some room to come
to
up with
think
an
about.
optimal pricing. Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah, because since something that you work so much, you put so much energy and effort, I believe that you need to get paid for that too. It's not only, again, it's not just giving, giving, giving. The law of circulation says the more I give, the more I what? I receive. The more I give, the more I receive, right? So right now it sounds like you're only giving. So something needs to shift in order for you to receive too.
And can I ask one more question?
Okay.
Maybe you have, or somebody here have an experience when you invite some mm, expert, some master, and what could be the terms? I mean, if these people come alone to do this his class, and he got clients from our retreat, so he sell his classes, his packages, or whatever, or sometimes he can bring somebody with him, maybe it is percentage for people who he bring. So the price for the for his class, plus if somebody come with him, he gets, I mean, to the retreat, he gets some percentage from this person. Or mm, could you advise any options for this?
Yeah, I think it is up to you with what kind of deal you come up with. I mean, I don't really know what the standard is for that type of thing arrangement. Do they charge you anything to come and present at the retreat? Do they charge you to come and present for their time to present at the retreat?
Yes.
Do you
So,
pay them?
yes.
Well, then maybe one thing that I would suggest as a very minimum is you come and you present free of
Yes.
charge, and whatever clients you generate from this, you know, ordeal, then you keep to yourself. That's one thing to do. That is would be the absolute minimum. I mean, I go and, lead, give keynote speeches and lead workshops for many different organizations. And, the arrangement is that they usually say, well, we don't have any much budget to pay, but like maybe somebody will sign up for your coaching. That is the absolute minimum, I think, if somebody's getting some business out of your retreat attendance.
Hmm.
Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I think that would be the absolute minimum. If they're getting business as a result of your retreat, then maybe they shouldn't be charging. Maybe you shouldn't, maybe you come, I don't like should or shouldn't, but maybe you can come up with an arrangement where they present at your retreat without the charge, and then they keep all the business that they get as a result of their presentation at your retreat.
Hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, Maria Ines, I see you.
Hi, Albina. I have a question. Um, is there any reason why you don't delegate some task to somebody else and you do everything? Or is it financial reason? I mean, you do most of your things, but you could hire somebody to do the ads and everything. Is there a strategy on that? Is like you want your brand there, you want you there, or is a financial thing that perhaps I shouldn't know about? I mean, uh,
Yeah.
are you doing that for a reason, or is just a coincidence? Because I have seen people who has, you know, they are not busy as you are, and they delegate a lot.
Yeah.
So I was wondering myself, if you have a reason for doing everything yourself, or if it is just that the numbers work better. I don't really know how to explain, but
No, no, I understand your question, and I think it's a very excellent question, Marina. It's a brilliant question. Thank you for asking such a good question. Now, when I had 7 yoga studios, I had 3 full-time people only in my marketing department. One person was a full-time graphic designer. One person was a full-time, marketing director who did our ads, who did our newsletters. And then well, maybe there were 2 people in the marketing department. Oh, one is photographer. So I had a team of 3 people in just marketing department. So in other words, I know what happens when you delegate, right? I didn't have the bandwidth to do all the stuff that I'm doing now. Now, yes, part of it is money. I'm not making as much money as I used to when I had 7 yoga studios. Now it's just a one-woman show. But I could totally delegate. But honestly, my reasoning behind that, the reason why I don't outsource ads, because ads are very expensive. And I want to fully understand and master something that it comes to ads, because I did have people who did Facebook ads for me. I did people who did Google ads for me, and I paid people who did SEO for me. I couldn't check their work. I was just paying them crazy money every month, and I didn't know. There was no way for me to track their performance. So after paying thousands and thousands of dollars, I was like, well, you know what? Either teach me how you're doing this stuff, or like show me the work, or show me the results. So after that, I decided, and it's my personal decision again, that I want to master Facebook ads so I understand it. Because if most of I mean, my business right now is not at a point where a significant percentage of my revenues comes from Facebook ads, but I see a big potential there. So this is why I want to master the ads myself. But you know, if you don't have the bandwidth, you can. There are so many people who do it for you on a part-time basis. I think it's a really great idea for you to outsource something if you don't want to learn it yourself. I want to learn it. This is why, I mean, this is why I want to master it myself. And besides, when I learn it, I can turn around, make it a course for you to teach you how to do it.
And let's say that you have the retreat. What is your opinion about like a project manager? So instead of being you, somebody says, hello, everybody, welcome to so-and-so, this is the agenda. And then you show up for the class, or Roger, I mean, when I say you, I mean Roger. Would that person make sense, or is kind of an intruder in your retreat? I mean,
yeah, that's a great question, Maria Inés. And again, when we had a team of 150 people on working for us, when we had 60 full-time employees, of course, I used people like that. We call them assistant. Since I'm paying this person full-time salary anyway, of course they'd come and assist and bring me water and make announcements and usher people to here and usher people to here. But right now, I ain't got an assistant, girl. It's just me. So when you add up the numbers, it doesn't make sense to pay somebody to do that work. You know, there are some arrangements, however, when you can get people to come for free, you know, and they do the work, part of the work for you. So there is an arrangement like that. But then again, you as a retreat leader, you're paying for that. Ultimately, you're paying for this person room and board. Yeah, I wouldn't consider that unless you have like 35. I mean, I lead 35. My last retreat was 35 people. It was just me. Once you get to like 50, that's when you'll need an assistant. But with the 35, and again, I've led this stuff for many, many years, so I have a lot of experience with that. Either have a co-leader if you think like it's going to be too challenging for you to lead a retreat of 30 people and more. But I think it's totally doable on your own. Yeah.
thank you. I wanted to know your opinion. Thank you.
Again, it's just an opinion, mom.
No, but you are but you have a lot of authority on this. So I wanted to know your rationale.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
always asking such good questions, Marianas. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Okay, Madison.
And this isn't, sorry, I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. I don't know if this isn't really like retreat question, but it's more like website and marketing. And so it kind of goes into the same thing. But I wanted to know if you learned how to do the SEO on your own, and if so, how did you do that?
Yeah, so the SEO is something that makes sense to outsource, I think, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't have a desire to learn that stuff. So this is something that you can outsource, and this is something that you can absolutely measure.
Okay.
So you can measure that stuff. We've done that before. I mean, Facebook ads you can also measure, but because it's just so expensive and there's so many variables that go in it, and the more I'm learning about it, you know, you have to check your Facebook ads every single day, multiple times a day, the performance of those ads. I just don't want to outsource that. So I want to learn it myself. But SEO, in my opinion, you can outsource that, and I don't have any desire learning about that. At the very minimum, what you can do, Madison, there is this thing for your website for WordPress that you can install, and it kind of teaches you your own SEO. Let me just tell you really quickly, since we are on the subject, I'm going to look it up on my own WordPress really quickly. So there is this plugin that you can buy, and it's really inexpensive. Let me see if I remember what it's called. Where are my plugins? Here are my plugins. It has like a weird name.
Yeah, the main reason I asked that is because on Wix it has, you know, like set up
You,
your own SEO and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
But then normally it's like you get to some point and then they're like, hire someone. And so
yeah,
part of me just wondering with like all the marketing insight that you have, like I was thinking about getting this like marketing certificate that taught you how to do SEO. So I'm just wondering, like, would it be something worth doing for the long run? Or is it one of those things where it's like someone does it one time and you're good?
I mean, honestly, I'm not an expert in this. I use Yoast. It's kind of teaches you a little bit about as you are creating content for your website. It gives you
Okay.
like sad face, really bad SEO, smiley face, good SEO. You know,
Okay.
I use that, and it's very inexpensive.
What's
Uh,
it called? Yoast?
Yoast, yeah, posted in the chat.
Okay. Oh, okay,
Um,
perfect.
you know, in my opinion, I mean, it depends. Where's your most of your clients coming from? And again, remember, it's going back to that module in the Digital Dynamite course. Where are your clients coming from? For the retreats, I guarantee you, I mean, do you need SEO? Like the price structure, at least the way I taught you, there isn't much wiggle room in there. But if you're talking about your website as a general, then I think it
Hmm.
makes sense for you to invest in somebody who will do your SEO.
Okay.
But for the sales page for your website, I just don't know. I think Facebook ads, Instagram ads would be more effective than
Hmm.
SEO. But again, I'm not an expert in this area, so don't quote me. I'm not
Okay.
sure this is the correct answer.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, my friends, if you have no other questions, it has been my pleasure, my joy, my honor to share with you everything that I know about how to envision, organize, lead, successfully execute a fun, outstanding, life changing, ecstatic retreat. I hope this information was helpful to you. Again, I uploaded everything on the website. There is a one module that is pre-recorded that teaches you how to create your sales page, how to set up your PayPal buttons, and how to integrate it with Aweber for autoresponders. So please watch that. And as always, you can reach out to me with any questions. I love you, and I will see you soon.